Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Scientific Adventures of Beardman. Today we're going to be looking at a concept builder on physicsclassroom.com and the topic of static electricity with the title of Polarization. Now, there's actually a video on this concept builder already. I'll link it here. This is just one example, a grounding example, which is what we see in the wizard level. So if you were stuck on that, hopefully you found your way here, and let's get into our example. So you'll see in the wizard level, the examples look like this. It says a positively charged balloon. Now you might have a positively or negatively charged balloon, and you'll see that in the picture here, is brought near to a neutral conducting sphere. So there are two types of problems. One has neutral conducting spheres. One has a piplate that's neutrally conducting. Okay, but we have some sort of neutrally conducting object. When it is held near, the opposite side of the conducting sphere is touched. There's a little animation. If you click replay, a hand comes in here and touches the sphere. Touching the sphere causes it to become, and then we're going to have to choose one of these things. But before we do that, let's talk about what's the particle movement, and let's use that to figure out which of the things we want to select. So when we have this positive balloon here, remember, we have electrons and protons in this neutral sphere. The protons are locked in their nucleus. They don't move. We talked about how if you did try and move them out of the nucleus, you'd be basically saying there's a nuclear reaction and you destroy your city, so don't do that. So what we really want to think is what's going to happen to the electrons. So before the hand's even here, the electrons are going to kind of gather themselves over on the right side, close to this positive charge. All of them, no, but a majority of them, they're going to move that direction. So there'll be more electrons over on this side. And because the electrons left this side, there'll be some positive in there. But now when we touch it, remember, we now have access to all the electrons in the earth, okay? Because it's grounded. That's what this touching it represents. We at the very least have access to all the electrons in our body, which is much bigger than this anyways. So what's going to happen? Well, when we get a neutral hand or neutral earth next to these positive charges here, well, the electrons are going to flow into there because they're attracted to this positive charge. Or if you want to ignore the fact that we set it up ahead of time, they're going to be attracted to this positive balloon over here. So electrons are going to flow towards the positive balloon, which means they're flowing out of our hand and into the sphere. So the electrons are moving from the hand into the sphere. Now there's a gap of air here in between over here. There's a gap of air there. So they aren't going to get all the way to the balloon, but they'll get as close as they can. Once they get to be a certain number there, they're too close to each other, so they push back, and we hit a balance where there's going to be a negative charge in here. The electrons have come in here and filled up next to these, so that side you could say is neutral. It may be slightly negative because we got so many electrons able to flow towards this balloon. So if the electrons are all flowing towards the balloon, then that means we're going to have more electrons in here. Electrons are negative, so we'd choose negative to be our answer for this one. Now keep in mind, of course, if we had a negative balloon and we touched it with our finger, we gave it connection to the ground. Well, if this is negative now, that's going to push the electrons away. Excuse me. That's going to push the electrons away, and so then that's going to leave behind positive charges. So if this is negative over here, not positive, ooh, I could color that in. You could barely even see the positive. So if this is negative, that's going to push the electrons away, and it'll end up positive, the opposite. Never will electrons move back and forth here. Never will you have protons flowing over here. Okay, so the only thing you'll have is electrons flowing away from a negative or flowing towards a positive. All right, have fun puzzling that out. Let me know if you got any questions in the comments below, and continue to enjoy puzzling these out. We'll catch you next time on the Scientific Adventures of Beardman.